Hey, this is Tpok, and we're back in Symphonic Rain. Sorry about no video yesterday. I honestly thought, oh, I did a video, and I uploaded it, and then I left for the night, and I forgot. So, yeah. Sorry about that, but here is a video today. Normally this would about end my day, but it seemed this wouldn't be the case for the coming days. Still haven't found a partner, so I'll just randomly search somewhere. Yeah, thanks. Well then, what shall I do? So, I went to the practice room last... Oh, my walkthrough. Where's my walkthrough? Lesson room. Can I do that? Is that allowed? I guess so. I decided to go ask Asino for help. I saw Torda off from the cafeteria, then remained there for a while. Asino was being tutored by Miss Cordell, just like me, and he had his class right after mine, after lunch break. After leisurely killing some time in the cafeteria, I decided to head to the lesson rooms. At this time, about 5 minutes before the end of the third period, there wasn't a soul in the hallway. I stopped in front of the room I'd had my lesson in earlier, and killed more time looking over some score sheets I'd written. Upon hearing Asino's voice, I put away the sheets and raised my head. Well, something.
珍しいな。とはいえ、俺を待ってたわけでもないんだろ。
Actually, I was waiting for you.
それは本当に珍しいな。
One could say that, excluding Torda, as Asino was my one and only friend. Even so, I didn't hang around with him around the clock, nor did I want to. We always met when one had business with the other. But if neither did, we could go without seeing each other for over a week. Apart from that, we still ran into each other by chance sometimes. When we did, we would go have lunch together, for instance. But today I had a clear motive for meeting her. I kinda have a favor to ask of you.
俺にか？わかった。長くなるんだったらどこか落ち着ける場所にでも行くか。
Sure. I'm sorry. Let's talk while we're walking as well. In typical Asino style, he simply curved the edges of his lips in reply, and started walking.
もしもし。
あ、先生。
Hello? Miss Cordell was leaning against the door frame of the lesson room, looking our way.
パートナーの相談か？
Something like that.
なんだ、クリスもまだ決まってなかったのか？
Either.
どちらもまだだな。
She stated indifferently, showing neither anger nor forgiveness.
とはいえ、俺の方は一応候補がいるんでね。
You aren't the only one.
トルティニタだろ？
Got a problem with that?
もちろん悪くはない。
私から言わせれば、二人とも変わらない。
それはそうですけど。
I know, that's why I decided to ask Asino for help, but with him in the same situation, I guess I can't expect much.
決めつけるなって。
とにかく見つけようとしている意志だけは組んでおこう。
クリスだけですか？
アーシノの場合、候補の名前も聞いていないからな。
決まったら言いますよ。
ああ。
But you are worried about me.
ああ。
Miss Cordell produced one of her seldom-seen smiles.
よかったな、クリス。
Shut up.
とにかく。
As I glared at Asino for his sarcastic remark, Miss Cordell raised her voice, as though reproving me for that.
何もしないよりは何かをしていた方がいい。言い訳にもなる。
An excuse for you?
自分に対しても。
Miss Cordell walked off in the direction of the staff offices. probably to prepare for her next lesson, leaving us a weak smile as a substitute for saying goodbye.
というわけで
Asino took this occasion to turn the tables on me.
俺もお前のことが心配だから付き合ってやることにするよ。
Yeah, thanks already. Taking what Miss Cordell had said into account, I couldn't refuse the offer. I'd come here with the intention of asking him for help in the first place. I meekly agreed with his proposition and let Asino decide where to go.
じゃあとりあえず行こうか。
Sure, but where to?
妥当なところでチェナークロだろうな。
That place seems appropriate, alright.
だからだよ。
Asino said matter-of-factly and set off in the direction of the secondary school building. Okay then, I muttered to myself, then followed in his tracks. The room was already occupied with what appeared to be seniors like us, but in the middle of performing off the cuff. Seeing as freshmen and juniors still had classes around this time, this was likely the case. They took note of our entrance and promptly stopped performing. One of them called out to Asino.
あら、アシノ、どうしたの？
ちょっとね。ところで君は声楽家だったっけ？
何言ってるのよ。ピアノ科に決まってるでしょ。忘れちゃったの？
姿だけでなく歌声も美しそうに見えたからな。
Although I doubted she took that too seriously, the girl smiled and let his mistake slide. All I could do was stand by the wall and catch Asino chat people up like that. Although he was a Fortelle, he once told me that he had originally wanted to become a poet. That might explain why he could say such nauseating stuff without so much as flinching. The people around him didn't seem to mind too much. So it might have been a talent of sorts.
声楽科の子は今日はたくさん来そうだな。
そうね。私の友達が後で来るって言ってたよ。
残念ながらね。とはいえ、今日は俺の相手探しじゃないんだ。
そうなの？
ま、とにかくその子たちが来るまで待たせてもらおうかな。
Asino waved and bid the girl farewell, and came walking my way.
おい、クリス、やる気はあるのか？
You tell me.
何しに来たんだよ。
To search, right?
まあいいか。どのみち声楽科の子が来ないことには話にならないしな。ちなみに俺は適当に時間を潰してるけど。
I'm just here to randomly search.
わかった。それらしい子が来たらお前も積極的に話しかけろよ。
I'll try. I leaned against the wall and idly scanned the room. More and more people arrived with time. This place seemed to fulfill its role of stimulating students to socialize all right.
そうなんだ。
The voice of Asino frivolously talking to female students sounded very distant to me. Despite talking to them so familiarly, he once told me that he didn't even remember the names of most of them. That's kind of rude. I wasn't quite sure whether I should be amazed by that or not. Don't be amazed. Although I'm also terrible with names, just in general. As for me, I didn't have a knack for addressing people I'd never met before, and even less so for being addressed by them. At present, no one seemed curious enough to talk to me, making me wonder if people realized this fact just by looking.
クリス、君に壁の花は似合わない。
What? The one person who had been curious enough to talk to me in the past addressed me with the same phrase as back then. Although I felt a bit of nostalgia, I still thought it was kind of creepy. How about telling that to one of the girls?
いや、それはもう飽きた。
So now you're talking up guys.
そういうこと。
Asino stated in apparent jest. His face turned serious after that.
今日はどうする？
I had you take me here, but I think places like these aren't really suited for me at all.
それもそうだな。じゃあ行くか。
You're quick to agree, are you sure?
まだ。とりあえず外に出よう。
Got it. I closed the door and walked off with Asino.
あっさりしてる理由だっけ？
Oh, you seem to be having fun, so I figured you wouldn't want to go.
今日は自分のために来たわけじゃないからな。
Well, sorry.
いや、悪くはないさ。
but I never seriously searched.
少しは探してたんだろ
I suppose. If you could call deciding that someone is no good just by looking at their face searching, then sure, I searched a little.
だろそれにあそこにはお前に似合うやつはいないよ
Of my kind.
いろんな意味でな人間的にも
Yeah, I felt that way as well. The two of us walked around school for a bit, but nothing came out of it. Right after we left the campus grounds, something happened. Asino gallantly walked on through the mist-like rain. I frowned. Asino casually turned around and said,
早く来いよ雨なんて珍しくもないだろ
I know, I just don't really like getting drenched.
そんなこと言ったって傘なんか差してたら注目の的だぞ
I know, though there's probably just something wrong with the people around me who consider umbrellas uncool.
子供なんだろ
I guess. As I caught up to Asino with a short dash, he continued.
お前はいざとなったらトルティニタとでも組めばいいんだし今日はこれくらいでいいだろ
I guess. I didn't really feel like doing that. On the other hand, it was a bad idea to put too much anticipation into this person Miss Cordell was going to arrange for me as well. What's wrong? Asino let out a seemingly unintentional sigh, perhaps due to the rut in the conversation.
ああちょっと疲れたな
I see. Sorry for wasting your time today.
だからそういうんじゃないって
You said that you suited me earlier. Yeah, but you know, they don't suit you either, do they?
何が
Girls whose names you don't even remember? Isn't that what wore you out?
いやみんな楽しんでる
Does that everyone include you?
焼いてるのか
What?
女の子にだよ
I have no idea how you came to that conclusion.
クリスかわいいね
As he said those ridiculous things to me, he patted my head for some reason. Hey,
はいはいそろそろ帰るか
I'm going home no matter what you say. Despite my rather aggressively sweeping away his hand from my head, Asino's ambiguous smile showed no sign of crumbling.
じゃあ大通りまで一緒に行くか
In the end, despite my constant complaining, Asino was still in a good mood.
そうだクリスこれから特に用事がなければ一緒に晩ご飯でもどうだ
I don't have plans, sure thing. I always cooked for myself. Didn't have a part-time job, so I was relying on my parents' allowance for day-to-day expenses. I didn't have to worry about tuition, since the Fortelle course was government-sponsored. So I had a pretty easy life, and wasn't too much of a burden on my parents. But I told myself not to squander the money, regardless of being in such a position. Where do you want to go? Asino was living in this town with his family, so he could afford some luxuries. I always refused to go to a place I couldn't afford. But Asino knew that, so he rarely invited me to such places.
いいトラットリアを最近見つけたんだ値段ももちろん手頃だ
I see. In that case, sure. It's been a while since we've been out together after all. Our trattoria was aimed at the general public, so it wasn't that luxurious. I had the financial leeway to eat out at least once a month. My parents urged me to do so as well.
ああ場所は旧市街でクリスの家から近いはずだひょっとしたら知ってるかもしれないかな
No, I don't know where there was a trattoria near my house. I don't eat out much, and if I do, it's usually with you. But the old town, huh?
どうかしたか
It's just a little unusual. Most of the places you take me to are either in the new town or at best along Main Street.
知り合いに連れてってもらってねそれから気に入ってるんだ
The establishment Asino had taken me to had Couper written on the signboard, and looked pretty stylish from the outside. Huh, this place is in unexpectedly good taste.
お前ほどじゃないよ
It was about dinner time, so it was pretty crowded inside. Asino casually called out to a female attendant, who then guided us in while pleasantly conversing with him, making me wonder if he came here often.
クリスは何を頼む
Doesn't matter, I'll just pick something.
いつもそれだなじゃあこの店のおすすめなんて聞く必要もないか
I guess I'll have pasta. Pepperoncini. For simplicity's sake.
スーっぽい頼み方しやがって。まあ俺もそれでいいか。他のは食べたしな。
It is said that with a simple pasta of red peppers, garlic, and olive oil, one could learn the quality of an establishment. Of course, I had no such intentions in mind, I just ordered it because I liked it. But Asino, who knew about that, ridiculed me for it and shrugged his shoulders.
なあ、お前のパートナーのことだけど。
Asino started as I brought a spoonful of this freshly served food to my mouth. As expected from a tutorial to Asino's liking, the food was delicious.
トルティニタじゃないのか。
Why does everyone want me to partner with Torta?
それが自然だからだ。
Well, I know that, but...
それに、お前が組んでくれないと俺が困るんだよ。
Why is that?
トルティニタに脅されてるんだよ。協力しろってさ。
That's a lie.
口では言わないけどな。俺にはわかるんだよ。
Say whatever you want.
まあ、それはどうでもいいんだが。
Exactly.
理由は何なんだ？
The reason I won't partner with Torta?
俺には思いつかないんでね。
Are you worried about me as a friend, or perhaps...
もちろん、下世話の好奇心だよ。
Well, thanks. It's Ari.
アリエッタか。俺は会ったことがないからわからないが、お前にはトルティニタの方が似合ってると思うけどな。
You wouldn't understand. Torta would be fine with it, but Ari...
大丈夫じゃないか？ま、お前のことだから好きにすればいいさ。
That's my intention. You're the one who brought it up.
心配なんだよ。
How about giving priority to your own worries?
当たり前だ。誰がお前の心配してるって言った？
Yeah, thanks anyway. I've gotten used to his frivolous behavior. He said it was merely curiosity, exactly. Because he was genuinely concerned. If he really was just curious, he was the kind of guy that would pretend to be sincerely worried instead. In the end, that might have been all he had wanted to ask me, since after that we only talked about trivial things. After finishing our meal, we left the store and parted ways. Now home.
あ、おかえり。今日は遅かったね。
I ate out today.
あ、そうなんだ。
The restaurant Asino had taken me to was pretty good, so I felt satisfied. But Asino's attitude felt a bit out of place. Was this really something to worry himself so much over?
相手はアーシノ？
Yeah, sorry, I thought I had heard rain. And that'd be really weird because it was such a sunny day today. Yeah, I'll let Fournier in on everything that happened today, as usual. And another uneventful day without much progress came to an end. First of December. I finished morning practice as well as my lunch as usual. It seemed Torta had just finished eating as well. She was looking my way as if curious to know how I would spend the day today. What?
これからどうするの？
What am I going to do? Huh. I only just started, so I'm going to search at my own pace.
もう少しは焦りなさいよ。
I already found a candidate of sorts.
本当に？それならいいんだけどさ。
It's true, so don't worry about it too much.
わかった。じゃあ私は今日は帰るけど。
Okay, see you tomorrow. Well then, what shall I do now? We're gonna go to the old school building. I don't know why I went everywhere. I went around peeking into some of the empty lecture and practice rooms randomly. I recognized some of the faces of students who were coming and going, but I quickly realized that even though I knew people by face, it would not get me anywhere. My eyes would meet with some students, but I would bow my head and then simply continue walking. Walking through the rain, I pondered whether I should give it up for today. I obviously disliked being soaked by the rain. Even so, deep inside I could never come to hate the cool sensation of raindrops on my skin, nor the distorted scenery caused by rainwater seeping into my eyes. I didn't want to leave school without accomplishing anything, so I kept walking. Before I knew it, I found myself in a place not too familiar to me. A far cry from the tumult inside the newer school buildings, this area was shrouded in silence. Away from the tree-lined road that connected the school buildings with the front gate, a narrow path lay amidst densely grown trees, leading to the old school building. Piova Music Institute, which had turned out many talented musicians since ancient times, gradually earned its reputation. The number of students grew proportionally, and it came time to expand facilities when this original building had become too confined. As a result, the current two newer school buildings plus the concert hall were constructed, thanks to the support from the government and the nobility. The government wanted to share this unique and magnificent culture with the world. I figured the nobility were in it so that they could boast about being fundamental to such a culture. Nowadays, there was a lot of aristocratic children at this school. The original building was never demolished, but left standing for the students to use. Even so, the only activities this building saw were periodic cleanings and piano tunings by students as part of their practice routines, so it could hardly be considered actively used. I think it was when Asino and I came here for fun, soon after we had come to this school. He told me that the students of noble origin in particular would not set foot in here. I had never had a reason to come here after that, so I didn't know much else about this place. I decided to take a look around, out of a sort of nostalgic curiosity, perhaps. Despite being free for use, students normally didn't come here. It's probably limited to the occasional poet or someone who just wanted to spend some time in quiet. The sound of a voice mingling with the rain faintly reached my ears. The voice had to belong to a student. It was a common occurrence really, but with my sudden spark of interest in the building, combined with the fact that I was in dire need of a vocalist partner, I couldn't help but sneak a peek. The building was deathly silent, save for the voice, so it was easy to trace its source. The door was ajar, a ray of light accompanied by a song spilled out from it. The girl was singing, indulging herself in the sound of her voice, overflowing the classroom, unbeknownst to anyone. I wasn't really an expert on vocal music, but there was something very captivating about her voice. Couldn't tear my eyes off this girl singing all by herself, without relying on any sort of musical accompaniment. My fingers started moving on their own as though playing a keyboard, as I imagined the sound of her voice mingling with my Fortelle in my head. By the time she'd finished singing, most of the phrases were in my head, and I felt like I could play it whenever I wanted. Although the piece itself wasn't very complicated, the simple melody was beautiful and accentuated the girl's voice very well. I figured the tune was composed with the lyrics in mind, so a Fortelle could accompany it in the background. Well, that was Lise, guys. I'm gonna end it here, and we'll actually talk to her next time. Her path I'm not going to do this time around though, but eventually. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.